I'm Christy and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. And in today's video, I have my top book boyfriends of 2022. So first off, thank you so much to Caitlin from The Love Librarian. She reached out to me to do this collab video with herself, with Nicki from Nicki and Bookland, and Kerry from Booked for Romance. And I believe all of our videos are going up on the same day, so definitely once you've watched mine, go check out theirs if you haven't yet. I will of course link them in the description of this video, which I'm so excited to be collabing with all of these lovely ladies. I'm actually going on a trip with all of them in the new year to a book signing that I'm so excited for, and I can't wait to finally squeeze them and see them in person. Okay, so I have my notes here. I have the books right over here, which I will show them soon. I know Caitlin just told us to pick any of our favorite book boyfriends from reads that we read over the year. But looking at my books, definitely most of these are new releases that I read this year, which I mean, they just left a lasting impression on me. What can I say? A couple are backlist reads, especially with like some historical romance heroes. So I have about 10-ish that I'm going to share, and without further ado, we'll just jump into it. First up is Sweet Lullaby by Lorraine Heath. This was the original cover that published in 1994. I will put the prettier ebook clinch cover here as well, which I love a lot more. So in this one we have Jake, and he is just the sweetest, most pure angel soul of a hero ever. He was Lorraine Heath's first hero as well. This is just an absolute gem of a Western historical romance. If you kind of like Lorraine Heath's angst and drama and kind of the messiness of some of her romances that she has, this one has all of that and more. Like, it's so good. So basically in this one, Jake, the hero, he is a ranch hand and he works on a ranch where the heroine's dad is actually the owner. So one day his boss, which is the heroine's dad, calls Jake into his office and is like, hey, like, what do you think of my daughter Rebecca? Because actually, like, she's pregnant and I need you to marry her. So he tells Jake how the man who got her pregnant like left her, and he definitely just wants like better for his daughter and for her to be married. So it becomes a marriage of convenience. Jake definitely has friendly feelings and wants more from Rebecca, but he's just like so sweet, and he's like, I will be willing to stand by your side. Like, I will take anything you ever give me, and like hopefully later on down the road, like, you'll learn to love me. So Jake's character, he just like made me swoon. He broke my heart. Like, he has some really tragic and heartbreaking flashbacks from his childhood, which was hard to read, but like, you'll definitely feel for this character. Jake was born to a prostitute. He was always teased growing up for being a bastard. Like, he has facial scars that he's super self-conscious about from an illness when he was a child. And so he has never wanted another child to kind of feel the way that he did growing up. And so like, he just stands by Rebecca's side and her unborn child like from day one and wants to protect them. So the way that he is just there for her, like, definitely as a friend at first, but he's hoping, you know, that she'll fall in love with him over time. Like, it was just so sweet to see. And Jake is just the sweetest. He builds her like a rocking chair. He builds this little like bassinet crib that we see on the cover as well, like to surprise her with. Like, this book is just tender and sweet. It is slow burn. Like I said, it does have some of that drama and angst and messiness from Lorraine Heath, but it just made the HEA that much more worthwhile. And I just love Jake. Like, he is one of my all-time favorite heroes, and so definitely on my top book boyfriend list. So of course, Heartless by Elsie Silver is on my list. And in this one, we have Delicious Daddy Cade. So Cade is a grumpy, selfless, rancher, single dad hero, and I just could not get enough of him in this book. Cade is just the absolute embodiment of actions speaking louder than words. Like, the things that he does to take care of his family for all of these years was just so sweet and selfless to see. So while making it this list as well, I kind of realized a little bit something about myself, about my reading taste. Like, a lot of these heroes share the same qualities. So like, are we surprised that they're my favorites and that some of these are my favorite books of the year? So in this book, we get to see Spitfire Willa come into Cade and his son's life. She becomes their nanny, and it has that kind of forced proximity because she starts living with them for the summer as well. I was just obsessed with this book. The banter, the charm, there are some amazing hot tub scenes. I loved also just the smaller moments, like the post-it notes and the coffee that he makes her every morning, and like just all of those really sweet gestures. And of course, the steam, like this book, chef's kiss. Next up is 'Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth. I have not stopped talking about this book since I read it back in November. This book surprised me in the best way. It is not only my favorite new holiday romance, but is like one of my favorite books of all time now. Definitely going to see this on my favorites of the year list. On Kindle Unlimited, definitely don't let this cartoon cover fool you. Like, this book brings all the steam, it brings the story, it brings the emotions. Like, it is way more than just a holiday romance. So in this one, the hero is Damien, and he is the founding partner of a law firm, and he cannot believe his luck one day when he actually ends up matching with like his dream girl on a dating app. So the heroine is, of course, that girl that pairs with him, and she actually just went through a breakup with her boyfriend of 4 years, who was a lawyer at Damien's law firm, and her ex-boyfriend definitely treated her as less than, made her change the way she looks, change the way she acts. Like, he just wanted her to fit into this mold of who he thought was the perfect, like, lawyer girlfriend, and that was not her. So she actually ended up getting dumped on the night that she matches with Damien, the hero. So it starts off as her wanting to get revenge against her ex-boyfriend, date and bang his boss, get him to invite her to the Christmas work party that her boyfriend would never bring her to, but of course it turns into so much more than that. The way that Damien treats Abby like a queen was just every single thing that I want to read about. The way that he worships her was just everything. Like, I just was living it for their romance. Like, not even 20% in, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm obsessed with this book, and like I'm gonna need a physical copy. I love seeing Abby be able to heal through Damien's like caretaking of her, and just like the way that he worshipped and was obsessed with every little thing about her. Like, he wanted her to be exactly who she was, all the things that her ex hated about her. Like, Damien loves it, wants more of it. Like, he cannot get enough of Abby. This book was just so rewarding, and I loved their romance. So Damien is definitely one of my favorite book boyfriends. Next up, I have a historical. So this is Slightly Dangerous. Hopefully you can see that super shiny cover by Mary Baylog, and this is the 6th and final book in her Bedouin series saga. So this book, definitely you'll get the most out of it if you read the entire series in order, as this is the last book in the series. But if you love a cold and starchy hero like me, then you are gonna love Wulfric, who is the Duke of the Bedouin family. And like, trust me, this is the 6th book, but the whole journey is worth it to get to this book. So the hero Wulfric, he has kind of been the head of his family for a very long time. When he was about 12 years old is when he realized that he's going to be becoming Duke sooner than later. Really made the choices in his life change, like no more fun and games, like you're going to have to get serious and take care of this family. So by 17, he was already the Duke and the head of all of his siblings in the family as well. And so like no fun and games for this guy. So in this one, we get to see the meet cute with him and the heroine, which was hilarious because they meet at a house party. The heroine is like up on this balcony, she's drinking her lemonade, and she looks over the balcony to look down, and that's where Wulfric is, and she accidentally spills her lemonade right into his eyeballs. So that's their first meeting, and it goes from there. Just loved seeing the way that Wulfric is just so intrigued by her, but also like can't believe himself of why he's so enchanted by her. I just loved seeing this truly cold and starchy hero finally get his HEA, and just him finding his true partner in life was so nice to see. And of course, seeing him finally break into a smile after a whole series of him never smiling and never laughing, like it was just so satisfying. Next up is Always Practice Safe Hex by Juliet Cross. This is book 4 in her Stay Spell series. This is a lighter paranormal contemporary romance series that is set in New Orleans and follows 6 witch sisters. So Gareth and Lavinia, they are just everything in this book to me. I love them so much. Lavinia is one of the sisters and she is a witch, and then Gareth is actually a Grimm, and so we get to learn more about the Grimms in this world. I loved seeing how Gareth is just gone for Lavinia from the first moment he meets her. Like, he definitely falls first. They end up starting off as rivals for like a PR contest, and they are competitors in that. Both chosen as finalists, and for that final, they have to actually work together on a project. Gareth's backstory in this just made me so emotional. Anytime a hero has like a tragic backstory, that kind of like tortured hero, I just have a soft spot in my heart for them. So Gareth was orphaned when he was just 7 years old, and we get to see the very heartbreaking story of a supernatural being raised in a human foster care system. I just loved Gareth so much. I loved seeing him being embraced by Lavinia and her family, and the way that they just like brought him into their fold, and the way that he appreciates that so much was so nice to see. So no surprise that this book is one of my favorites in the series. Next up is Where Dreams Begin by Lisa Kleypas. This is the cover, and then this is the step back. This is one of my favorite Lisa Kleypas books, and it's actually a standalone as well. Lisa Kleypas, of course, is the queen of the self-made man hero, and Zachary Bronson in this book is just the epitome of that. So in this one, Zachary is known as the Merchant Prince. He started off as a common street fighter. He eventually became captain of a steamship, to eventually turning into stocks and real estate, and he's now just like a super wealthy investor. So Zachary is a self-proclaimed social climber, and like he has come as far as he can with his money of getting into society. So he knew that his fortune can only get him so far, and so now he wants an in with society as well. But at a party, he actually ends up meeting the heroine, which is Lady Holly, and she is a widow. She has a 4-year-old daughter. So he asks her if she will be his social guide and kind of come and live with him for a year and help him and his sister with kind of like learning the social ways. So Holly is a widowed single mom to her 4-year-old daughter. She has been living with her in-laws, and she definitely wants a better future for her daughter. And so when Zachary offers to pay her, she like negotiates a better deal, and she even asks him like, once this year is up, like I would love for your help with like investing in my daughter's money for her future. I love the forced proximity in this one. Like I mentioned, Holly ends up moving in with Zachary into his house, so all of that like close time together was so fun to see. I am a sucker for a single parent romance, and so seeing a hero like fall for the heroine's children, or like his own children, or whatever the case, like it just always does it for me. So I loved seeing all of his interactions with her 4-year-old daughter Rose. Rose collects buttons, which was so cute, and so Zachary, like when he'd go on trips, he'd bring her back gifts. Like he'd bring her back buttons for like her little treasure chest. Like it was just so sweet to see. Like this one just has all the swoon. It is a standalone. The hero is the one who is pining. Like so good. Definitely read it. Next up is Between Hello and Goodbye by Emma Scott. This is a beautiful contemporary romance filled with life and love and loss and grief and kind of the healing that comes through that. that. So this story starts off with Faith, the heroine. She lives in Seattle and she's kind of tired of her lifestyle of just like partying, waking up with random guys, like showing up late to work, like just being kind of a hot mess. So at the same time, she actually ends up getting an ultimatum from her bosses. She works for an advertising company, which she's really great at when she does show up. And so they tell her like, hey, either like get your act together, show up, like we want to make you a partner, or like quit, like just pick which one. We'll give you 2 weeks off, like go find yourself. So she jets off to Hawaii, and on her first day there, she actually ends up slipping on a hike near a waterfall, and that's when she meets the hero. So Asher is the paramedic firefighter who comes to rescue her, and Asher is just like the ultimate hero, like not just the hero of the book, like he is just a hero's hero. Like he's the type of person who is putting others first, like coming to their rescue, saving the day, like just that ultimate hero. He ends up helping out the heroine and kind of showing her around the island and kind of helping her get around because she is on crutches. He's that type of hero who's like a bit gruff but super sweet underneath it all, which I love to see him falling for her. They kind of contemplate long distance in here as well because of course he's in Hawaii and she is in Seattle. So definitely a beautiful book, an emotional one as well, and Asher is just like the ultimate hero. Next is Juniper Hill by Devney Perry. We all know around here that I love Devney Perry. I have read all of her books. I cannot get enough of them. So Juniper Hill is the second book in Devney Perry's Eden's series, which is an ongoing series that she's writing currently. So this is a small town romance series that takes place in Montana, and the hero of this one is Knox Eden. So like I mentioned, I'm a sucker for a man taking care of a child, and that is what Knox does in this book. Heroine is Memphis, and she has recently moved to Quincy, Montana, where this series takes place with her 2-month-old baby son. She's recently moved to town and takes a job at the Eloise Inn, which is actually Knox's family's business that his sister manages, and then he actually owns and manages the restaurant that is part of the inn as well. So his sister also said that Memphis and her son could live on Knox's property because he has like this garage apartment while they try to find a better place in town. Get that close proximity because not only are they living on the same property, they're working at the same inn. So in this one, Memphis kind of struggles a lot with being a single mom. Her son also has colic, so that doesn't help at all. Like they're not getting any sleep. And so one of the nights she's up walking with her son, he's just crying and crying, and Knox actually can hear them. And so he comes over to her apartment, knocks on the door, and he's like, hey, give him to me. Let me walk him around. Like he needs like new arms around him, a new voice. Like we all need to get some sleep around here. So let me try to help out. So I, of course, loved seeing Knox take care of this little baby and like just falling for the baby and falling, of course, for Memphis, the heroine as well. So they start spending time together at his house. He starts spending time with her at work as well. Like he'll cook for her and make her meals and just like be the person who takes care of her. I just love this romance so much. Like Knox is a bearded, tattooed chef, like falling for Memphis and her son. Like love to see it. Next is Restore Me by J.L. Seegers. I have talked about this one in a couple other videos as well. It is definitely one of my favorites of the year. So in this one, the heroine has been widowed for 4 years after losing her husband, and she's just kind of like focused on work. And then the hero, Dominic, or Dom, he actually is her late husband's best friend and business partner, and they actually have to start working together on a hotel project. Like he's doing the construction part, and then she is the interior designer for the new project. And so she has never understood why Dom has always hated her, but of course there's more to the story there. There is some long-term pining. So they actually end up in this like kind of arrangement with benefits situation in the story. It just leads to the most delicious sexual tension, the mutual possessiveness of these two, the swooniness of this man. Like I loved to see it so much, like the pining and the taking care of her, like the grand gestures by this man. He rents out an entire rooftop restaurant to bring her to dinner with him, like so that they are just on their own with like nobody else around to see them. Like ugh, so good. Definitely a favorite. If you're a fan of Kennedy Ryan's writing, definitely check out this book. Next is In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the second book in the Love Light series. I love the entire series, but book 2 and 3 are definitely my favorite. This one, the hero is Beckett, and that's definitely a big reason of why I love this book. So this one is a second chance romance. The hero is the foreman of the farm, and then the heroine is actually a social media influencer. They have a one-night stand together, and then later on they meet again at the farm when she comes there to do this like social media PR contest thing. I just love this one. Like Beckett definitely comes off a bit gruff, but he is like the ultimate sweetheart underneath it all. He takes care of his sisters. He takes care of his family. Like he took over his dad's farm job when he was just a teenager and his dad got injured. He takes in kittens. Like he has all of these cats in his house. He takes in a baby duck like abandoned at the farm. Like he is just ultimate book boyfriend material. He is another one of those selfless heroes who takes care of others with actions. He's tattooed. He has a farm. Like he has a greenhouse. He brings her flowers every morning, like leaves her notes. He tells her about the constellations and the stars. Like he makes her coffee in the morning. Like ugh, just all a swoon. Next is Mixed Signals, which is the third book in B.K. Borison's Love Light series, which these are all definitely standalones, but you're definitely going to get more out of them if you read them in order, just because it all takes place in the same small town with the same side characters. In this one, the hero Caleb, like, he is just the ultimate cinnamon roll sweet hero. He's a substitute teacher, and he's been pining for the heroine who actually owns a bakery at Lovelight Farms. So cinnamon roll heroes are not usually my favorite, but like Caleb just worked for me so well, and like sometimes they just hit just right for me. So this one is actually a sunshine romance where both of them are romantics and just kind of want to be better at dating. So they end up running into one another at like a bar and restaurant where she has just gone on an awful date. Like her horrible date even left her at the bar, like she's stranded. So Caleb sees her and goes over there because he's like a regular at her bakery because he's been pining for her, and they start talking, and he's like, well, like, I can't believe your date left you. Like, how could he? Like, I will drive you back to Lovelight. So on their drive back to town, they start talking and kind of sharing both of their like mutually bad dating experiences. So he talks about how he's always getting dumped like after the fourth date, and like ladies are always telling him that he's like just the nice guy. And so he ends up like kind of jokingly, but not really jokingly, suggests that they date one another to kind of do it as a social experiment, of course. Like, let's find out what's not working, like what we're doing wrong, and like how we can make it right. Like that pining for her, love to see it. Of course, loved seeing how determined he is to please her and like how willing he is to work for it. Like, ugh, oh my god, love Caleb. So definitely check out the Love Light series if you haven't yet. They are all on Kindle Unlimited, and they also have the audios on Hoopla, which is where I listen to them at, and they're just, ugh, so good. So I do have some honorable mentions as well. So Claire Kent's post-apocalyptic series I have been obsessed with for the last few months. You've definitely probably heard me talk about them in some of my wrap-ups. So there is Haven, there is Embers, there is Last Light. They all take place in this post-apocalyptic world, and I'm just like obsessed with them. So all of the heroes in this series, they all work for me. Like the way Claire Kent writes these heroes, like they're all kind of that like deliciously closed off, a bit gruff heroes who like fall so hard for the heroines and would do anything for them, but also feel like they're unworthy of them. Like she does those heroes so well. All of the books are usually pretty angsty because it's the heroine who has to make the move and decide like what the hero's feelings are because he's like so closed off. I don't know, they just like work really well for me. I'm obsessed with this entire series. So yeah, those are my honorable mention heroes. Those are my top book boyfriends for the year of books I've read in 2022. Thanks again to Caitlin so much for reaching out to me to do this video. I had such a fun time. I had like an even longer list, but I was like, okay, like we need to narrow this down because I could be here all day talking about these books and talking about these heroes. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books that I just talked about, or maybe like what some of your book boyfriends of the year would be. I would love to know. Definitely make sure to check out Caitlin and Kerry and Nicki's videos as well. Of course, I have linked them in the description of this video. I can't wait to go check out theirs and see if we have any of the same book boyfriends or the ones that they picked. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one.